Hi, this is Bill Stinnett, and welcome to the Sales Excellence Core Methodology program. This is the first in a series of modules that have been designed to focus on some of the most important aspects of our sales methodology. And the subject for today's session will be what I like to refer to as Think Like Your Customer. And much of the material will come from the book by the same title, which I published in 2005. So to begin here, what I'd like to do is open with the same way I opened that book and the way I open many of my sales workshops by telling a short story. When I was a kid, I loved to go fishing with my dad. And we always had a lot of fun. The only thing that wasn't very fun about it is that he could catch fish all day long and I couldn't catch anything. And so it wouldn't take very long for me to get completely frustrated, and I'd be, as a 9-year-old kid, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And my dad always had the exact same advice. He said, son, if you're going to catch a fish, you got to think like a fish. And can I tell you, that advice didn't help me at all. At that time, I had no idea what he meant by that. I thought, well, first of all, I'm not a fish. Secondly, what does it matter what I think? I wanted the fish to bite the hook. How does what I think factor into any of this? And it actually took me several years to kind of grasp what my dad was trying to tell me. What he was trying to say was, if you're going to catch a fish, you got to learn to think about those things that fish think about. So I decided to do some reading and research. I went down to the local library. I checked out every book on fish that they had. I signed up for several fishing magazines, and I even joined the local bass fishing club and started attending the monthly meetings. I learned all kinds of things. Did you know, for example, that a fish is a cold-blooded animal? Did you know that? Well, what this means is that fish are incredibly sensitive to water temperature. And they'll like to be in warm water as opposed to cold water whenever they can. And so if we want to find a fish, let's say a bass in a lake scenario, we should look in the warmest water available. But think about this. Water is always warmer in direct sunlight than it is in the shade. Isn't that true? But you'll never catch a fish in direct sunlight because they don't have any eyelids and the sun hurts their eyes. Water at the surface of the lake is always warmer than it is way down deep. But you'll never catch a fish just sitting at the surface all day long. Most of the food's at the bottom. And besides, if they did just sit at the surface, it would be too easy for a bird to swoop down and get them. And so as I began to understand all the different things that concerned fish, I got pretty good at finding them and catching them. Well, I got involved in professional sales during the 1980s and immediately, of course, was sent to sales seminars and here's some books on sales you should read and told what to do. And everything in those books and seminars and everything that my manager and his manager seemed to tell me was focused on what salespeople should say, what salespeople should do, the steps that we should follow, and so forth. Nothing that I read or saw had anything to do with customers. And it was a little bit confusing to me because my dad never once said, if you want to catch a fish, you need to think like a fisherman. It was always, you need to think like a fish. So I think that one of the things that we can do to become better sales professionals is to kind of get over being a sales professional. What we need to do is to learn to think more like customers. And to be more specific then, think about those things that customers think about. And that's what this initial program, this first module, is designed to do.